welcome to Lōkahi Backstage. I am your host, Jamie Ann Blakeman. Here, we go beyond the highlight reel and bring you stories from real people, those who have faced ups and downs, challenges and breakthroughs. Through their stories, my hope is that you'll be inspired to embrace your journey, find the rainbows in the storm, and always remember, your uniqueness is your magic. E komo mai, welcome. Today, we're sitting down with someone whose journey is all about taking risks, building trust, and making a difference. Chris Bridges started in urban planning, spent over a decade leading SIMPO, the Central Yavapai Metropolitan Planning Organization. Now, as the Executive Director of ACEC Arizona, American Council of Engineering Companies, he advocates for the entire engineering industry. Beyond his career, Chris is part of a leadership power couple with his wife, Wendy Bridges, the Economic Development Director for the City of Goodyear. Together, they've navigated bold moves, career shifts, and built a life focused on growth and opportunity. In this episode, Chris shares the key moments that shaped him, the challenges of stepping into leadership, and the risks that ultimately paid off. If you've ever wondered what it takes to embrace change and lead with confidence, you won't want to miss this. Let's dive in. So before we get into all of that, I'd like to start with this. I had heard that you had won a Tamagotchi competition when you were 4, 6.
So it was actually 3 years ago. Never had one.
3 years ago?
Kid. Yes,
all right.
three years ago.
In your adult years.
Yeah, we could call it that. So when I started with the City of Goodyear, this was my first year. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to do things. We're going to be part of the team and join all these weird, crazy things that Goodyear does for employee engagement.
Yeah.
So
team building.
Team building. So one of the employees in the development services department said, hey, we're going to have a competition. And I'm like, I'll do it. Sure. I had never had one in my life. I knew what they were. They've been around since, I don't know, the 1980s. Yeah. So I thought, I'm going to jump in this competition and I'm going to crush it. I'm going to show all these, young whippersnappers, what's up. So if you don't know what a Tamagotchi is.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's
I kind of do. I never actually played with it, but I think I bought it for my kids.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So it's basically a keychain. It's got 3 little buttons and it's an electronic device and it beeps at you and tells you, I need to be fed, I need to be cleaned, or what's the other one? Not die. Don't let me die. It'll tell you.
Don't let me die.
Yeah, it'll tell you when it's in poor health, so you have to nurse it back. So there's these 3 little buttons, and it's horribly stressful. It sounds easy, but it's very complicated.
Does it beep all night long? Does it go to sleep?
It'll go to sleep, but if
okay.
you don't pay attention in the morning and don't take care of it right away, then it will die.
Okay.
Right. So a lot easier. I have a 22-year-old. It was easier to raise him than it was to keep track of this stupid little toy,
goodness.
right? So anyways, I'm like, I'm going to crush it. I'm going to do this thing. But I wasn't going to do it the regular way because everybody said you have to have a certain model. It's the first gen, second gen, whatever. So I start Googling, get on Amazon, and I find a second gen that is a little R2-D2. It looks like R2-D2 from the movie Star Wars.
Because of your obsession with
Because
Star
I'm
Wars.
obsessed with Star Wars.
I love it.
Because it came out when I was
to be special.
6. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm going to make it super fun too. So we make it, it's about a month or so, and I win. And all they could do was complain, saying that my version wasn't right. It was too easy, even though it did all the same stuff. So they wanted to do another one. So I went and bought another one that matched what everybody else had.
So you won the first time around.
I won the first time around.
But they fall play because you had a special one.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what they claimed. So they're like, okay, we're going to do another one. So I get the new one. Uh-huh. We start. And this time Wendy was in it.
Your wife.
And I won that one too.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So
how'd that go?
Third season comes around. I'm like, I don't know if I should do it because I'm going to keep crushing their souls. But but Wendy and I were the last two standing.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And we're very competitive, and we kept going. And it was over a month.
Just the two of you?
Just the two of us, because people would start dying off pretty quick.
Yeah.
We would do a reveal. We all got together at lunch, and it's like, okay, 12 o'clock, start. So that way everybody was on the same timer.
Oh, okay.
And what would happen is the first go around, by the time it was the end of the day, so we were at noon, by 5 o'clock, a person had already killed them. Like, it's intensive. You have to constantly watch it. They do. But it was the same thing. It's like, it's easier to take care of my two kids than it is to take care of this stupid little thing.
That's
so,
hilarious.
Yeah, the highly competitive nature, especially me and Wendy, we always, any competition we're in on.
Oh my gosh, you were crazy. So I love that. So you certainly have a competitive spirit. So even if it's keeping just a digital pet alive, you got to win.
Yes. Yeah. And to be fair, she kills me in Scrabble. We don't even play Scrabble anymore because she constantly kicks my butt.
Yes, it's not a good game to play.
No.
Yeah, I know that feeling. My husband's good at a lot of games. I'm not good at a lot of games. I don't know, math engineering doesn't translate to like games for some reason. Like no one has like math problems. There's always like, how well do you know the world or pop culture? And
right.
That doesn't work well.
You should make one.
Yeah, a math game.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, kids will love it.
Okay, so let's just take it back to where this mindset comes from, your competitive mindset. You were born in Dayton, Ohio.
Yep.
Right? And you moved to Arizona when you were 10 years old.
Yes.
So tell me about that. Like, what brought you here? And
right. So my dad is a lifelong telecommunications person. So he, at the time when I was born, worked for Ohio Bell. So the phone company, which had a line attached to it, used to be a thing. And there was one. It was the Bell system, right?
Right.
And then eventually the government came in and said, hey, you're a monopoly. You got to break it up. But at the time, it was still the Bell system. So he worked for Ohio Bell. He had an opportunity to join a team for Mountain Bell, which is Arizona. It covered more than just Arizona, but that's what brought us here. We moved to Scottsdale in December, and I thought, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm wearing shorts and t-shirt. When we left Ohio, there was 4 feet of snow on the ground. It was freezing cold. It doesn't melt. It's dreary. We get here, and I'm literally climbing trees and playing ball and whatever, and it was awesome. In fact, when we started school in January, I had one of my teachers ask me if I was okay, and I'm like, why? She's like, can your family not afford a jacket?
Because it's cold winter. Here. Yeah.
It's January, right? And I said, no, we just moved from Ohio.
It's hot.
And she goes, oh. I'm like, I'm not going to wear a jacket. This is ridiculous.
Well, so from there, you were sold on Arizona.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Been here ever since.
Was your college and all like that here? Did you?
I went to NAU.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So moved back to snow.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Oh, yeah. That's so
I did
true.
That. But I have a group of friends. They're like, hey, we're going to go to NAU. And I'm like, I guess I could take school serious. Why not? And then what are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to be a forestry major. No.
Forestry?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I walked into the building at NAU and like, wow, this building's awesome. This is so cool. And then I found out you make no money. You stand in the forest by yourself, and the program was full. So I'm like, what am I going to do? And looking around the geography department, I'm like, oh, I like maps and stuff. That's pretty cool. Found out there was a brand new planning division that was starting. So it was part of the very first planning class for land use planning. So, so I'm not an engineer. I'm a planner, but the majority of my career has been dealing with or working with or for engineers. So it's been a very interesting ride.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We'll have to get into that, how it took you from one subject matter to the next. So you talk about your dad, or you shared with me that your dad was a huge influence in how you sort of think today and how you're shaped today. He challenged you with technology, staying ahead of the curve, and even just your parents have put you into sports and athletics, and that
Right.
kept you competitive. So talk a little bit more about your upbringing and how that kind of shaped your thought process, and
Right.
and then that took you into adulthood.
Yeah. So my dad played a lot of sports too when
Okay.
he was a kid. So it was just kind of a natural, well, he's going to put me into sports, right? He played baseball up through high school. One of his teammates is actually Mike Schmidt, who's a Hall of Famer, played for
Wow.
the Philadelphia Phillies.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I have a picture of my dad and him. It's an old black and white photo that is signed by Mike Schmidt. I should have my dad sign it now I'm thinking about it. That would be super cool.
Yeah, you should.
But it's from when they were in Little League.
Wow. That is cool.
Yeah, it's really awesome. But anyways, it was, okay, baseball. Huge baseball family. The thing that's confusing for people is being from Ohio, they're like, oh, so are you a Reds or are you a Cleveland Indians fan at
Sure.
the time? And I was raised a Reds fan. But I was also raised a Cleveland Browns fan. And nobody understands that because that's not a thing today. If you're a Reds fan, you're a Bengals fan. If you're a Browns fan, you're a Guardians fan.
Okay.
That doesn't exist. But when I was born, there were no Cincinnati Bengals. They didn't
Okay.
exist. So that's what it was. Ohio State, hence my shirt,
I love it.
Cleveland Browns, and Cincinnati Reds. And that was ingrained from my grandfather and my father. And it just drew me to it. So sports in general, I just love all kinds of sports. I figure if real news infiltrates sports, then something important's really happened. Right?
Yes, for sure.
Exactly. So, an example of my competitiveness when I was little, in Little League Baseball, I was horribly sick. And I should not have left the house, but I begged and pleaded my mom that I'm like, I really want to go play the game today. And she's
Okay.
like, I don't think you should. And I'm like, but I really, really want to. So she let me get dressed in my uniform. And then I'm like, nope, we got to go. We got to go. And I'm like physically throwing up. Like I should not have left. And she's like, okay, well, we're going to go. And so we got all the way down to the field and I could not really do anything other than be sick by the car.
That's terrible.
and then she goes, okay.
So did you even play?
No, she took me back home.
Sick.
She took me back home. So, but that was my
Determined.
competitive drive. I wanted to play that game, a Little League game in West Milton, Ohio. Why? Because I felt I needed to go out there and do something and win, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of a basis of everything going forward. My whole life, it's like, no, I want to be the best at something. I want to win, and I want to succeed. And if I don't, I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying. It's helpful when you're playing like video games.
Yeah. Video games?
Yeah, because
Okay.
you'll hit a like a puzzle block where you're just like, I don't know, and you just keep trying and keep trying and keep trying, and finally you get past it. But a lot of people would be like, screw this game, I'm done. You know,
It's also good in life, though, competition,
is.
right? But beyond
Right.
the Tamagotchi and the video game.
exactly.
I like that. And you said also I remember you telling me that your dad also challenged you with technology,
Yes.
right?
Right. Yeah, it was. He was always very forward-looking, and after we had moved to Arizona, he had a personal computer. Now, this will also date me too, but it was from Radio Shack. It was a TRS-80 Model 3, so it was pretty advanced. It was just a big, giant gray box with the 5 1/4 floppy,
Oh, okay,
which is
yeah.
the little
I
plastic
remember
things
the
that you could
floppies.
probably not even keep a Word document on today. It doesn't store anything. The screen was black. It had a letter C with a colon and a flashing cursor.
The green.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it did. And my dad's like, this is the future. And I'm like, you're a crazy person. This is not the future. And he's like, you're going to need to know this. Like, this is how the world's going to function going forward. And he's had that foresight. And I started paying attention. Eventually, we got newer computers, but he would find a copy of like AutoCAD 3.0. If I say that to engineers and that they're like, oh, what?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm like, yeah, but I would just draw like Phoenix Suns logos or
That's crazy.
just random things in AutoCAD just to play with it.
And it's an intimidating program. Like, just
Yeah.
to even open it, it's not very,
Right.
it's not very friendly, in
But
my
imagine
opinion.
not doing it in a Windows environment or an Apple environment.
I can't.
Just doing it on a
Yeah.
DOS-based system.
I don't even like it now.
Right. I won't touch it. It's way too advanced for me now. But I would also teach myself, like, well, what else does this thing do? I taught myself basic programming.
Wow.
I would program little things where I'd have like a spaceship fly across the screen, stop, shoot a laser, blow something up at the bottom, all from basic programming, and just doing print at this, print at that, print at that. And it would just run through the program, and I would keep track of
How did you even
football
learn
scores.
that? Because there was not an internet at the time. Like, did you have a book or like?
Got a book.
Because I'm like, there's no way you can't just go like Google, YouTube, find it on YouTube.
How do you basic program?
Yeah, like no.
Right. Nobody uses basic programming anymore.
Yeah.
But
still.
it's a foundation of all programming. I mean,
agree.
I could have gone to, I think C plus was the next, like, hey, if you want to bump up, and I'm like, no, that's too much work for me. But I get it. It's a foundational in basic that is all programming. Like, if this happens, then this happens, and then that's where you go, and then it sends you down a path.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's just different language.
I totally agree. I had to learn on C+ when I was in college. I had to learn.
Nice.
I didn't choose to do it. So.
You had to.
Yeah, I remember that was one of the classes that I took that I came home and I cried. And told my dad, like, I was going to, because it was my first semester in college. And I was very intimidated by going to college. Like, I didn't know I was going to graduate. I don't know. Like, that, I don't know.
Well, that's why I gave up C.
Yeah,
that's why I didn't do it.
It made me cry. And I had to eventually read the book, like, C+ for Dummies. And then that got me through some of that. But, yeah, it's not pretty. But it really does teach you a mindset behind it. Because once you get the idea, you know what goes behind the scenes of things, even if you don't do it.
Yeah, it's probably kind of helped me through my career and understanding the bigger picture. This is a weird thought, but you have to think, if I do something, what's going to happen? What are all the possibilities? And we do that in a planning engineering world of
it's so true.
No build scenario to what if I build everything and everything in between and what's going to happen. It's the same structure of that.
I agree.
You're just not dialing it on a 9 baud modem and with a rotary thing and putting the thing on top of the hook.
But it changes, to me, it made me change the way I thought. That's what made it so hard. Is like you have to think a certain way.
Yes.
And the if-then statements and the while statements and the loops. Yeah.
Yep.
So very interesting. But yeah, I would never choose it on my own. So certainly something within you was a drive to learn and stay on top of things. But okay, so you talk about so I'm going to jump into this. You spent 12 years, right, was it at Simpo? Nope, you spent 12 years at Yavapai, right?
So actually, Simpo was under. They were our fiscal agent and everything. So I was technically a Yavapai County employee for 22 years.
Gotcha. Okay. So, but for 12 years of it, you were functioning within your degree. Well, you were an urban planner. So
urban planning.
Educated. You started with urban planning. Then you moved into transportation planning, which was a little different, but kind of still slightly related.
Right.
It's the planning side of it. But then at that point in time, you were asked to maybe consider the director role. And you say that was a huge shift in your career, even in your mindset.
Right.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
Right. Thinking at the time, I was like a huge risk or a huge move was going from land use planning to transportation planning.
Yeah, and that is huge.
And I'm like, I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about transportation planning.
Yep.
The director at the time was like, that doesn't matter. You have a solid foundation. I know how you work with people. We can teach you the technical things. And I'm like, whatever. Okay. So eventually I tried it. And it worked out because I've been doing it basically ever since.
Yeah.
So I was doing that for a while. I was the Simpo rep, Central Yavapai Metropolitan Planning Organization, for people who don't know.
What SIMPL stands for.
So I was basically the county's rep. So I would go to all the meetings and interact on whatever technical groups, just making sure that the county's interests were being taken care of. And then the director at the time, Jody Rooney, she called me one day out of the blue and said, hey, you ever thought about being an MPO director? I was like, no, why? Mm-hmm. And she says, I'm leaving and taking a job with ADOT. Yeah. And I went, oh, okay. And she's like, I think you'd be perfect. I'm like, that's interesting. I've never thought of that.
Right.
So which then got my brain going, right?
Uh-huh.
And they started going through a recruitment process, and I wasn't sure if that was something I wanted to do. It was a leadership management position that I had not really had before.
Sure.
It was also right at the time of the economic downturn in '08. So it was a scary time. The big MPOs were fighting for money, saying small MPOs, which SIMPO is a small MPO, between 50 and 100,000 people.
Yep.
And they were trying to take that money back so that they could use it in New York and LA.
Yeah. Keep the big ones.
Yep.
Get rid of the small ones.
You're just diluting our money.
Yeah.
We don't need these little ones.
Yeah.
And I would say if you have one person, you should be planning. Not if you have 50,000 people, that's when you should start planning. And that's kind of what an MPO says is once you get to 50,000 people, you really need to start thinking about your regional network.
Sure.
I'm like, no, I think it's from day one, but that's okay. That's my planner mentality. So as they're going through the recruitment process, I kept not committing to it because I just didn't know. I'm like, is this a really bad idea? And eventually got to the point where I had to put in an application, so I did. It was either put in or don't. So I put in an application. Then they had people lined up. There was somebody I think they were going to interview from Florida and somebody I think from California and me. And
Who has no experience.
who has no experience of
Right.
running an MPO.
Yes.
And the chair at the time, he was, I think it might have been Vice Mayor of Chino Valley at the time, but he came to me and he said, Chris, are you going to want this job? Like if we
Are you going to want it?
if we ask you for an interview, are you going to do it? And are you going to accept the position? And I was kind of put on the spot and I said, yeah, I think I will. And he goes, okay. So the SIMPO board canceled the interviews and offered me the job.
Wow. So you didn't even go through the process.
No.
That's
they
really
basically,
awesome.
they're like, why would we bother flying people in from Florida or California when we already know we want you?
Wow.
And so that was very flattering. It
But now
taught
you
me
have
a
to do
lot.
it.
So now I had to do it and figure out what the heck I was doing.
Yes.
Right. And I've learned a lot through that process because I still use this now. It's something I learned, and I would say to people as I would hire them on to SIMPO is it's going to take you a year just to figure out what the heck is going on. And then the second year, you're going to be like, okay, I think I got it. And then by the third year, you've learned from your mistakes in the second year. So it was really a 3-year learning process for me. And I would tell that to everybody. There's a standard program, right? Happens at this time. This happens at this time. You just don't know that yet because you haven't lived it. Once you get through the process, now you're going to figure it out. And I've carried that through to the jobs I have now. It's the same type of thing.
Sure. So going from, I would say, you kind of were wearing more technical hats in your prior 12 years, right? And then now you transition into a director position. Tell me about what are those things that you take away from that experience, right?
Right. So obviously responsibility.
Right.
Anything good? Yeah, that's good for you. Anything bad? That's also you. Right. There's no, I only want the good. No, that's not a thing. So really trying to avoid all the bad and keeping everything good. But what I did learn through that process was relationships and who people are and their core is really what matters. And that line that I told you from Yavapai County Public Works Director about I can teach you the technical things is something I really embrace because I want to work with somebody who at their general core, deep in their heart, they can work with people. They are willing to try stuff. They're not set in their ways, right? Yeah. Because just because you don't know what a formula is out of the highway capacity manual doesn't mean that you can't look it up.
Sure. Or ask someone how,
or
know who to call. I think
Yes.
I always find I certainly don't have all the answers, but nowadays I at least know who to call, who might know who to maybe call after that, right? Or I think so you were always the person too I called.
Right. And somehow I would know who you should talk to if I didn't know the answer. Right?
Yes.
So that's why you still call me.
Yes. Yeah. Even if it you just say you have to connect with this person, that person, but still it's I think you always were someone who knows how to connect the people, how to get this done and also move towards action. I would say you move towards not just processing paperwork just to have another process, but really move towards okay, let's get to a solution.
Right.
And we're at an impasse right now.
Right.
But we've got to move past this at some point in some timely manner. So I certainly appreciated that.
Yeah, what are you willing to give in order to get what you want?
Yep.
And that was everything at Simpo. So that's why it was such a huge learning experience and really jump-started my career once we came down to the Valley again.
So was it there? Sorry, I was when you talked about the projects, the I-17 or SR-89. Can you go into some of that? Because I thought that was really cool.
So there's always a challenge of some sort.
Sure.
But being at Simpo, the foundation of that was they really wanted to focus on regional roads because the Prescott Valley area is growing so fast that the basic network that was there is not going to handle the amount of volume that comes from the growth, right?
Yep.
So the things like Fane Road and 89A or 89 between Prescott and Chino or even I-17. So like getting Fane Road into the ADOT program and partnering with ADOT was a huge deal. That took relationships, following the State Transportation Board around the entire state and being in some really bizarre places at times, but also having really cool experiences while doing that. But the forming of those relationships with the ADOT staff and with the state board got to the point where, hey, if we needed something and we had a project and I go, I've got my $600,000 of federal money, I'll put 2 years together and give you $1.2 million if you will please widen 89 between Prescott and Chino Valley or something like that. The first real big challenge, though, was we had lost as a region the widening of 89. And it eventually got split into two projects because there was sort of like some bickering internal, and Prescott and Chino and ADOT weren't all seeing eye to eye. So ADOT's like, well, okay, well, we can work with on the Chino side. So they widened on the north end first and the south end, and it being second. It should have been one whole project. But that project was in a design concept phase when I first started at Yavapai County Public Works. It was completed right before I left to move back down to the Valley in 2020.
So it took a while.
It took 17 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
It took a long time. And I was at the county at the time, and then Simpo, then we lost, then we had to get it back. And so there was a lot of effort that went into that from the whole region to make that project successful. And that was amazing driving on that road for the first time when it had opened up. I'm like, wow, I didn't think this would ever happen. I wasn't sure we were going to get here. And we did.
Right.
And then you mentioned the I-17. That one is actually under construction right now. One of my board members, she had a full-time job at Albertson's Grocery. She was a manager there. Mary Mallory, she's currently on the County Board of Supervisors in Yavapai County.
Nice.
She's a huge Simpo supporter. And she came to me one day and said, we had another truck that got stuck on the highway. So they would bring a crew in to unload the truck at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but the truck wasn't there. Turns out it's sitting on the freeway because there was another crash. So she's like, what can we do about this? I bring my crew in, they sit there for an hour or whatever, we figure out what's going on, and then I have to send them home and then bring them back at 11 o'clock at night or 1 o'clock in the morning because we got to unload the truck.
Sure.
So it's a cost to the business.
Yes.
It's disruptive to people's lives, and it's affecting commerce just in general between Phoenix and Prescott. I was like, I don't know. Let's think about it. We eventually worked together, and we drafted a resolution that we brought from the Simpo board that we sent to the governor, we sent to ADOT, and we're like, something's got to be done about the widening of I-17. And that it wasn't right away, or everybody went, oh, you know what? You're right. That's pretty cool. Let's do it. It took a long time. But I tapped into those relationships with ADOT and the board members and going through the 5-year program process and providing public feedback. But we didn't go just during the 5-year program public comment period. We went all year. So we were in Nogales, Springerville, Tuba City, Lake Havasu, like you just pick it. They went all over because the state board gets to pick where they go. The chair kind of gets to set the agenda, but they want everybody in the state to be able to interact. So you want to go talk to them, you got to
go. Wow, that's really cool. I mean, even I like the story of how she, your relationship, right? I forgot the name, but you said she was the manager of the grocery store. But
Yes,
then
Mary
now,
Mallory, yep.
And then now she's part of what makes transportation work, not
Yep.
just then,
Yep.
but now.
Yep.
Very cool. The connections. Okay, so before we dig further into your career, let's talk about Wendy. You
Okay.
and Wendy. I feel like in recent years, before your move to your current position, you both were in Goodyear. So at some point in time, we talked about a lot of Prescott, but then at some point you jumped over here, and we can talk about that next. But I feel like the two of you, first of all, Wendy's so dang awesome, and you're so dang awesome. So it's super fun whenever I see one of you, both of you, whatever. You guys are fantastic and great. Most recently, you both were at Goodyear. She is still at Goodyear.
Yep.
And I really felt like you guys were like just moving on up, power couple. I mean, you guys were to me, I don't know, Mr. and Mrs. Goodyear, you know? But tell me about the story about how you all met. How did you meet Wendy? You guys are awesome.
Yeah,
by the way.
it's a weird story. And I know when I told you, you're like, really? That can't be a thing. It's a thing. And we tell people. So we had both been married to different people and then got divorces around the same time. But we had both moved to Prescott area around the same time frame. We knew a lot of the same people. I don't know if our paths had crossed. We're not sure. We're not sure how it didn't. But eventually, we had both, we had moved on from our previous marriages, and there was a thing called MySpace.
Right.
Which I don't think you can still do. Why would you?
Know.
I don't know. I'm sure there's something out there
It's the
for
original Facebook type
the
thing.
original
right?
Facebook type thing. So we actually met on MySpace. So I was working, this is when I was the Yavapai County Public Works. So every year the county and ADOT, because it snows up there, would have a coordination meeting on snow plowing. Who's going to cover what, when, if something happens, who do you contact, stuff like that. So they were having a meeting in Ash Fork, which is I-40 and 89. There's like 600 people that live there, but there's an ADOT yard. And one of the ADOT guys said, hey, let's do something fun. Let's have a chili cook-off. So my friend Peggy, she makes amazing white bean chicken chili. And I'm like, there's a no-brainer. She's going to win this. This is like good. But I'm curious what this other guy's going to do. But I didn't get to go to the meeting because there were too many people going. Somebody had to stay behind. I didn't go. But when they got back, the stories of what that chili was pretty amazing. It was described to me as enchilada sauce with some burnt hot dogs.
So, like, not the Peggy one.
Not the Peggy one.
The
Peggy's was amazing.
Additional
yeah.
in the running.
Exactly. And it was to the point where people were like, yeah, I had to stop on the side of the road and scrape my tongue with my sock
gosh.
Embellishing a little bit. But then it's like, you're all going to get food poisoning. And so I leaned into it and I really teased them. And
sure, why not?
Yeah, I learned a lot about karma. So a couple of days later, I went with Peggy and her husband to a Diamondbacks game. I got some chicken tacos. I ended up getting horrible food poisoning. So if that's not karma, I don't know what is.
That's what it is. Yeah.
And so I had this whole story about the scraping the tongue and.
You played off of that whole
I
thing.
played off
you
that.
threw
So
it
I
in
went
there. Now you're sick.
Tremendous amount of detail, and then I have tacos and
on MySpace, on your MySpace.
On
account.
my MySpace, just put it out there, and she somehow stumbled on it, and she thought it was hilarious, and so she wrote me back, and I mean. You're like, oh, okay. So then we just started writing each other back and forth.
Did you know who she was? Or like,
nope.
So still, it's just like a stranger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So we wrote back and forth a few times, kind of figured out that we had some of the same friends and found out that she used to work in the court. And the friends that I went to the game with was Dave Mackey. He was a Superior Court judge. He ended up becoming the presiding judge of Superior Court in Yavapai County. So she's like, oh, you know him. You must be an okay guy.
Oh,
so lucky for me, relationships again come in and help. I talked her into going to lunch, and then we were quote unquote friends for 7 days
Wow.
and then started dating. So that was in July. By the following March, we were married. And so our anniversary is actually right at the end of March. So
coming.
Pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
You got a winner.
I did.
Out of your good.
I did.
It was that
so
good of
lucky.
a story, right?
Right. All because I had food poisoning
Yeah.
and shared it
Yeah,
with the
that's
world.
right. That's right. So there you go. You never know the opportunities you take and
Right.
what it leads to. But
Yep.
so you and Wendy, so now you guys are together, but I feel like, and I know this is kind of jumping into the part where I know your story a little bit more, but at some point in time, you guys took your lives that were up in Prescott, and sounds like life was great. You were flourishing in your career.
Yep.
You now found a wonderful person to spend the rest of your life with.
Right.
But at some point in time, now you guys started becoming part of the Valley here.
Right.
And for me, that was when I got to know you. I didn't know you pre-Valley.
Right.
And that was more in recent years. So like
Right.
2020 is about when I got
Yep.
to know you. So talk to me about like what makes you go from Prescott
Right.
down here. And I feel like there was also a period where it wasn't quite fully here. It was like half here, half not here. She
Right.
was here.
Yep.
I knew you first, but I heard of a wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So we were both in positions. There's nothing above the Simpo director position.
Sure.
There's no promotional, aspirations there unless you go to a totally different job.
Sure.
So kind of blocked there. Wendy worked for economic development for City of Prescott. Sort of the same thing. There was no real growth opportunity there, and so our son, who was getting close to graduating high school at the time, we're like, he's not going to stay here, right? He's going to go off to college or something, whatever. So started looking around, and Wendy found a job for the city of Avondale, economic development.
Right.
They pay really well for Avondale. And it was one of those, well, this seems like a no-brainer. Like, we've got to do this. And we'll figure it out. It's going to be cool. We'll get an apartment down around Avondale somewhere. And she was going to work 410s. And then I was just going to keep working at Simpo because solid.
Yeah.
This runs smoothly, everything. We're getting big projects. Like, it's cool. And then...
So 3 days she'll go home.
Right. So if it's super hot, she'll come up to Prescott. If it's in the
Kinda
winter,
win-win.
I'll come down
You
here.
too, yeah.
We get to keep our house in Prescott. This is going to be cool. And then eventually we got her moved down, got an apartment. She started in March of 2020.
Okay.
She was in the office for a week.
That's a significant time frame.
Correct. Because the following week, the governor shut down the state.
Yes.
So she was working remote in this little apartment. And eventually, because I was working remote too, nobody was working in an office.
Yep.
So I spent the majority of my time at our apartment at El Mirage and Camelback.
Gotcha. So you both worked physically in the Valley now,
Right.
even if you were still
Right.
serving.
I was still doing Simpo stuff, but I was working down here. If I needed to go back up periodically, I would. Alec would come down because his mom still lives in Chino Valley. But he would come down and spend like a month with us in a 1,000 square foot apartment.
Oh my gosh,
2 bedroom. And like we were on top of each other, and we also had a dog at the time, and it was crammed. But eventually I got to the point where I was like, why am I doing this? Like, Wendy just had this tremendous opportunity. Maybe there's an opportunity for me too. So I started looking, and that's how I ended up at the town of Gilbert. They were literally the only city that was hiring anything for transportation planning related.
Right.
So
this is going kind of back to what you used to do.
Right.
Right. Stepping away from that director position and kind of tapping
Right.
into what you formerly did.
Right. Because if you're going to be an MPO director in the Valley,
Yeah.
it's going to be MAG.
Sure. Yeah,
But
that's
hello,
the
they
next
already
one.
have one.
Right. Definitely.
So this was an opportunity, and I thought, you know what, it might be nice to not be the director. Like, I could just do work and live my life and make more money. This is going to be awesome, right? But it was in Gilbert.
Yes.
And we had our apartment at El Mirage and Camelback, and Wendy's at Avondale. So we decided, by the time we started getting to the point where we're going to buy a house, we started looking like Awatuki.
Yeah.
And we were like, 25, 30 minutes each direction.
Oh, midway.
Ideal. The 202 South Mountain had opened up. We're like, this is going to be great. We could not buy a house. We had 7 offers in before we finally got a house.
Oh, this is when the economy was like crazy and people
Took off.
That's right.
Took off. And our search area, our realtor, she goes, so let me get this straight. So your search area is I-10.
Right.
From Power Road to Verrado.
You're like the valley.
Yes. Right. And she's like, okay. So we ended up buying a house in Goodyear, which is great because we bought that house right after she got a job for economic development. She was a business development manager for Goodyear. So got a house 5 minutes from City Hall, the old one before they built the new one. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do the driving. But this was December of 2020, January, February, March, like that of 21.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, well, I can do the drive. So I did Gilbert for 14 months. At first, it was like 45 minutes, not a problem.
Because people weren't back.
People weren't actually
in
out driving
offices.
to work.
They were working, but
Right. I mean, there was truck traffic for freight and things like that, random car, but the drive just kept getting longer and longer and longer. And I still really love the people at Gilbert. It was a great time.
Same.
And
like, to tell you the truth, I was not super happy you got the position.
Oh, thanks.
I was like, dang it, that means I'm done.
Shoot.
Yeah,
but we're here now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
See, it all
worked out. And I was like, who is this guy? He can't be that awesome.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I was like, I knew my time was done. But it was fun working overlap with you too. So
yeah, and I still stay in touch with them. There's cool people over there. And
plenty of cool people.
And I got the same position for a little more money at Goodyear, and I could be 5 minutes away from the office instead of an hour and 5.
It was a sad day to me and Gilbert when you decided to move on, but it made sense.
Yeah,
knowing
it did
that
make
you
sense.
guys were like West Side. You started to move West Side.
Like, how awesome is this? 5 minutes? Like, I don't even know what to do. I can actually work out. I can go for a walk and do whatever. I got all kinds of time in the morning that I didn't have.
Yeah.
Making that drive. So it definitely worked out.
For sure. Yeah, but now aren't you in Phoenix?
So the ACEC office is down on Central between Indian School and Osborne. And
so your 5 minute thing.
My 5 minute thing's gone.
It's changed.
Wendy's still got her 5 minute thing.
Yes.
But,
so she has to cook and then the dog and work out.
Right. Exactly. But I've adjusted the schedule because the ACEC Arizona is professionals who own engineering companies or principals in engineering companies. So they have other jobs. They're trying to make money, right? So being on the board of ACEC isn't their number one priority, right? So kind of what really happens is most of the stuff, they want to get it busted out first thing. Like, let's get this stuff done so I can focus on my other work. So kind of figured out my schedule is if I leave at 5:30 in the morning from Goodyear, it only takes me about 30 minutes to drive downtown.
Wow.
If I leave at 6 o'clock in the morning, it takes me over an hour.
So you're an early bird.
So I get up super early, drive in, I get there. We work basically until about 2 o'clock-ish, and then I'll head home because at 2 o'clock I can drive back to Goodyear in about 25 minutes.
There you go. It works out.
It works out great. And then
Find a way.
Yeah, and then I just get reconnected at home. I've got a nice office set up, and then there are like Mondays and Fridays I'll work at home because most of our stuff is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. But if I need to go in on Monday or Friday, no problem.
Well, cool deal. Okay, so let's talk about all your transitions. I know we talked about a few here, but you really, so starting with your degree in urban planning, so land planning, right? And then, so at Yavapai, you went from urban planner to transportation planner. That was a big, huge jump in and of itself. Most people don't even do that. They stick within their urban planning life. But you moved to transportation planner, then moving to director, which is a whole new hat. Then in the midst of COVID, you guys decide you're going to move down to the valley. And then Gilbert, then transitioning over to Goodyear. And then even in Goodyear, you moved over from Gilbert as a transportation planner to Goodyear transportation planner. But then quickly saw you rising up through the ranks, becoming becoming the deputy director over engineering.
Yes.
And then in the last few months, see a new announcement that you're now the ACEC executive director. So way different, which I would say this is way different than any of the other roles that you've played. I mean, I think there's some overlap, but I think it's a huge, it's another huge change in my 2 cents.
Right.
So looking at all of this, you've made some really career bold moves of position to position, where one hat is truly a whole new hat that you're wearing, a whole new set of skills you're having to tap into. So tell me about that, like talking to our audience, right? I don't think that's very, you're not very typical, because I think most folks are afraid of making those changes, but you've made them. And especially I would say, it seems like in this later half of your career, you've gotten bold. And like you said, that maybe that is that simple experience and moment that showed you, hey, I can do things beyond what my degree tells me I can do, and going beyond that. But talk a little bit about that. What does it take? What goes through your mind as you're looking at these changes?
Just the changes. Each one was, I don't know anything about that.
Right.
Until I left SIMPO and went to transportation planning. I'm like, oh, I've already done that. That's familiar, but I haven't done it in the Valley setting.
So that's all new people.
Right.
And that's a new setting. Yeah,
totally
for sure.
different realm with MAG versus SIMPO. SIMPO has 5 members, MAG's 26.
Yes.
You're fighting for what you think should be yours more. But at the same time, it also got transit added to it, right? So that was a new experience. There was no transit system in Prescott. So I had to learn all that. So Valley Metro was another one that came in on it. But each step was, can I do this? Am I making the right decision? And then even having the, oh Lord, what did I do? Right? The simple one was that one where I was like, man, did I make the right decision? I don't know. And after almost 11 years, I did make the right decision, right? Because it got me down to Gilbert, which then gave me an opportunity to get to Goodyear. Goodyear was, gone through massive growth the last 5 years, really.
Sure.
10, but that first 5 of that 10 was kind of ramping up, but the last 5 has been
huge,
amazing.
Yeah.
Like it's a totally different place.
Yeah.
And they really needed some transportation planning help, but it all worked out to, it was like, okay, we want to now have you be the deputy director of engineering, not as an engineer, right?
Right.
Having a planning background, that was a weird one because I've explained that a lot.
Right.
And I think I said when I first came onto ACEC, I'm a plan engineer because
It's true.
I understand it. I can communicate engineering. I know what's going on. I know the process. I just don't have a PE.
Right.
But I can communicate it, but I also have that bigger picture view from a planning perspective. What happens if this, if that? It's not, I said it to you before, we'll say it again. So a lot of what I've done in my career with engineers or even in land use planning, the code enforcement folks, this is black or white. The code says this, engineering standards say that. I've always taken the approach of that's a black and white, and I work in the middle. I do my best work in the gray, which gives me some flexibility. In the planning world for land use, it was, how do I help you, Jamie, who wants to put something on their property and the code says this? How do I get it so that you're in compliance or you don't have to mess with that anymore?
Sure.
My goal is to help you basically be successful and, I wouldn't say go around the code, but to do something that fits within the code.
Yeah.
Engineering, it's the same type of thing. It's like, hey, we could do it this way, but what if we looked at a different option? Not everything is, we have to make it a 6-lane arterial. What if it's a 4-lane?
Right.
And then we have it planned out for the future because we don't know for sure if it's going to need to be 6 lanes. It's going to be 4. It's really helped.
I do find that it certainly takes, the standards are one thing, and we all should understand them. We should also always understand like what its intent is, and I think it's one, understand them. That's step one, right? Is you come in, what is it? What even is a standard? 2, understand the intent. Now, understand the intent. If you can take it the next step and say, okay, I understand the intention. It doesn't necessarily
apply here to stick to it because it doesn't work anymore. Now using your ability to think and problem solve and say, okay, now what do we do?
Right.
Because we cannot achieve X. We have to find
Right.
Y somehow, yet adhering to it, the intent of what was meant by it. So
Right.
I always think that that's one thing. And even just so circling back to your career steps that you've taken, I always, one thing I do think, even from just my own experience, is I think we can think and think and think about that very next step until you take it, until you actually sit in it, like until you actually are the director.
Right.
You have no idea the doors that then open and the relationships that open. I think you can evaluate, like, should I do this? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know the people. What does this mean? Like, and the evaluation can be like in your head, but it's until you take that action moment and do it, you have no idea the doors. Like, you could never, I would say your path, you haven't looked and said, okay, I'm doing this to line me up for that, because eventually it's going to be this,
Right.
like you didn't draw that out, but it opened the door, and then you see the opportunities behind those doors and you say, that's interesting. Could I potentially like be part of this like unique thing?
Right. And I think you nailed on the word that I was gonna lean on. It was opportunity. So Prescott's beautiful, right?
For sure.
People think we're crazy. Wendy and Chris are crazy people because they moved away from Prescott. Why would you do that?
Yes.
And our answer is opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's, at the time, it's like, man, that's scary. This is new. Is it going to work? You don't know. But clearly, since 2020, that has worked out for both of us.
For sure.
Like I said, she was business development manager or program manager, and then she became the director. I somehow became the deputy director.
Yeah.
I easily could have just continued working for the city of Goodyear. They have a program called Goodyear Grows where they try to mentor employees to want to succeed and move on. I was super lucky that I had already reached out to our city manager and I said, hey, would you mind mentoring me? Because I think I want to get into city management. I want to be a deputy city manager or a city manager. And the rub on that is that Wendy being a director there, neither of us can go above a director. It's the city policy. So when Reed is the city manager, she was actively mentoring me to essentially either one of us was going to leave or I was just going to stay in a role or maybe become a director and that would be it. But she's been valuable, hugely valuable in my career growth. There's those key people that say things to you or help you or nudge you in a certain direction, and you have to be open to hearing that.
That's right. Yep.
And being, oh, okay, yeah. So what she's telling me is, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We need to really think about other opportunities. In no way was I like, oh, my career, guess what I'm going to do?
Right.
I'm going to be the ACEC executive director for Arizona.
Right.
Never, ever popped in my head. I'm like, I'm good.
But now you are.
But now I am. But that's because an opportunity presented itself. I got an email that came from Greg Haggerty was the chair at the time. And it was a mass email. I'm not like he emailed me directly, but I got it. I was like, oh, that's right. The previous director left. Delete. Didn't open it. Didn't care. Didn't want to. Another week went by. I finally got it. I did open it. And I read it. And I was like, that's like right up my alley. Like, I could totally do that. So I sent it to Wendy. And I was like, I want you to read that and tell me what you think. And she kind of said the same thing. I'm like, wow, that's pretty fascinating. And she goes, well, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to think about it. So I did. I thought about it. It was kind of like the Simpo thing. Like, is that what I really want to do? But I was at a point in my career where it's like, well, Arizona State retirement's pretty cool.
For sure.
80 points is your target because I've been
For
in it
sure.
for a really long
Yeah.
time. Well, I hit my 80 points in January.
You did?
Yes. So
Wow.
I'm like, well, now it's a little easier because if I fail at this, I have that to fall back on
Sure.
and I could always go back into the system or find another job.
Yeah.
But it was a nice little like, yeah, you'll be okay. And so I went ahead and applied and here I am.
I look forward to what you're going to do. I'm sure, like you said, you're just getting I don't want to ask you all about that because there's certainly a road ahead on that, but a lot can be done. Having served on the board, I know that there's a lot of great folks serving on the board. It's a great organization. There's so much I would say it's doing great things, but there's so much potential.
Right.
So I look forward to you being in that position for sure. So in wrapping up to our audience, for folks based on your life and what you have done and some of the steps you have taken, what is your advice for those who are at crossroads in their lives? What do you say to them and they're considering their next step?
Right. I know it's scary.
Yeah.
I've done it.
Everything.
Obviously, each of those change in general is scary. But if you've built a solid relationship with people across the industry or even not in the industry, because I have friendships with people that aren't necessarily transportation related, but they're people that I trust that I can go to and ask for advice. Like you say, I can call them and say, hey, who should I talk to? Yeah. That solid foundation is going to make all of those changes much easier because you've now got a strong network of people that you can rely on and that support you. And you taking the time to support them means eventually they're going to take time to support you. And it's done wonders for my career. It's done wonders for projects. It's how I've been successful my entire life, is building off of those relationships. Focus on that. The other stuff, the technical things, you can learn.
Sure.
But build that solid foundation.
I couldn't agree more. I think what's really interesting is, as even some of my journey, what I found, and it amazed me too in what I've done, is there's so many people out there wanting to support you and rooting for your success. Certainly there are people against that. And I think sometimes we focus in on like the individuals that you think are against you, and there will always be those situations. But I think it's so cool because there's far more people, I think, or make your bubble so that the more people within it are the ones that are pushing you forward and happy for your successes and happy to help you become successful. So I don't know. I think that certainly are great words. But I think you also lean on your technical, your curiosity, willingness to learn, willingness to work hard, willingness to find a way, right? Like through all the logistics, finding a way to make it work, drive in early, drive to Prescott, whatever it is, you find a way, work hard, but then also lean into like who you've got. So I love your story, and I really look forward to what you have to do at ACEC. So if there's anything we can help at Lōkahi or me individually, I'm here for you and super excited. So thank you so much for being part of the Lōkahi Backstage podcast. If people want to find you, where can they find you?
So I think if you Google me, you'll find me. But ACEC has a website, ACEC-AZ.org, or chris.bridges@ACEC-AZ.org is how you can find me. If you're in the engineering community, I want to hear from you.
And even just beyond the ACEC, I know as part of the board, we knew, although it's engineering companies, it's really, we wanted to make sure we knew it was expansive. It was not just and it's all engineers for that matter too.
Correct.
It's the expansive range of engineers, but then land surveyors, even contractors. It's really like, although it says engineers, it's really a broad range that we're looking to really
anything
elevate.
that has to be built has to be designed.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's above ground, below ground, horizontal, vertical, whatever. It's going to have to go through an ACEC member, most likely.
Sure.
But that's the cool thing that I like about it, is that it's all inclusive.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, there's no better person for that job.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much again for being part of our podcast.
Mahalo to our listeners for joining us today. Until next time, remember to lean into who you were created to be. Your journey is uniquely yours, and the world needs you.